Well, let me, that was excellent. Look, it is a historic moment to have Senator Bernie Sanders here at Stanford, who has done more to tackle inequality of income and wealth than any politician in my lifetime. And being here with a lot of young, brilliant Stanford students is a reminder that I've had a pretty long lifetime, nearly 50 years. So that is a statement. I also want to recognize Dr. Jane Sanders, if you would stand up, who has done a lot of this work with Senator Sanders. It's an incredible honor, and it shows the seriousness with which the Senator considers this topic that Jane also came here. Thank you, Jane, for being here. Bernie Sanders has also thought more deeply about AI and its impact on the working class than anyone in the United States Senate. And that's what we're here today to discuss, these two defining issues, inequality and AI, and the relationship between the two. We live in a new Gilded Age. Tech billionaires, believing that they would have been heroic conquerors in a different era, are wresting control of our economy, our media, and our politics. That's just not my observation. That's what they tell me. We would have been conquerors if we had lived at a different time. Musk, Thiel, Ellison believe they have a modern divine right to lead and rule. Most Americans feel they have little say in shaping their future. And this, in part, has contributed to the anger, resentment, and hopeless cynicism in places across our country. A nation cannot survive with islands of prosperity and seas of despair. Professor Gabriel Zucman, and some of you may have read him in your class, has shown that today's wealth concentration is at the highest it has ever been in our nation's history, far higher than when I was teaching here just 10 years ago. Listen to this. About 19 billionaires have $3.4 trillion, the equivalent of 12.5% of all the goods and services that are produced in the United States. This is nearly 3 times more than the wealthiest Americans were worth relative to the size of the economy in the Gilded Age. 3 times as much wealth concentration today. Extreme wealth often forms an unholy alliance with power to strip us of equal voice and to have 2 tiers of justice. And that's really what the Epstein class was. 2 tiers of justice, rich and powerful people who felt they were above the law and didn't have to live by the rest of the norms and laws of civilized society. We meet today at the epicenter of this wealth concentration and AI innovation. This 50-mile radius around my district includes Stanford, Apple, Google, NVIDIA, Broadcom, and Tesla, is worth over $18 trillion. We met with some of these companies earlier today. Think about that. 1/3 of the entire nation's stock market is in this district. 1/3. Now, we see the future from here. We know what's coming in a way that many politicians and DC bureaucrats simply can't see. But the question, as Senator Sanders put it, and I put it similarly, is what kind of future are we going to build? Will this future be only for the tech lords, for the tech billionaires, or will it be for all of us? Today, I call for a new tech social contract. You know, they used to say, to whom much is given, much is expected. I have a modification. To whom much is given, at least a little is expected. The truth is, our taxpayers and our philanthropic dollars funded the development of AI at Dartmouth, MIT, and here at Stanford with ImageNet and with the Digital Library Project that helped birth Google. Now let's acknowledge, tech entrepreneurs have taken risks. They work hard. They show skill and imagination in scaling and adopting the technology. One person was saying, Roe doesn't believe in innovation and hard work. Of course I believe in innovation and hard work. But you know what else I know? Because I've studied history, just like every other successful generation of American entrepreneurs over the past 2 centuries, they stand on the foundation of public investment. That is why we must ask not what America can do for Silicon Valley, but what Silicon Valley must do for America. The AI revolution can help cure cancer, rare disease, slash housing costs, make it easier to start a business, address our energy needs, and lower medical and educational costs for the working class. You heard Senator Sanders say the same thing. We're not Luddites in the way that it's used. I don't want to get into the explanation that the Luddites actually weren't anti-technology, we're fighting for social justice. But the point is, neither of us are against the idea of innovation. But the truth is, in the hands of a few billionaires, the priority has been to eliminate jobs, extract profits, and addict us to outrageous content that turns us from citizens to combatants. Now, I am not an AI accelerationist, and I'm not an AI doomer. I'm an AI democratist. So today I want to lay out 7 principles for what a democratic AI looks like. This vision is a part of a broader call for patriotic renewal, to have shared prosperity in our nation, not oligarchic capture and dominance. A vision for a new economic patriotism where we have a thriving working and middle class with good jobs in rural communities, factory towns, suburban neighborhoods, and our urban centers. Here's what it means, in my view, for AI in America. First, we must keep human beings in the loop. We need real protections against mass displacement, beginning with our 3.5 million truck drivers. Even as self-driving trucks improve safety and efficiency, human drivers must remain, just like pilots must still fly on our planes. How many folks here would get on a plane without a pilot? I mean, the idea, the way people casually talk about getting rid of truck drivers is mind-boggling. We have 4 million jobs at stake. What we need is an AI that augments human capability instead of eliminating jobs. Second, every large company must bargain with its workers. Unions or elected representatives should ensure workers move into new high-value jobs or can share in AI's productivity gains through higher wages, profit sharing, and shorter work weeks. And the senator alluded to this. Okay, they say AI is getting more productive. But then do the workers get the shorter work week? Do the workers get a higher salary? Do the workers get the bonuses? Or is all the money of AI's productivity just going to the shareholder and capital class? We need to make sure workers are actually benefiting from the increased productivity that they are providing. Third, we need to fix the tax code's anti-human bias. The reality is that you get accelerated depreciation when you use technology, but human beings come with a tax. Nobel laureate Doreen A. Smoglu estimates that companies pay 0 tax when they have digital tools, AI agents, or automation in their companies, but pay almost 30% in taxes between employers and employees when they hire workers. This makes no sense. We need to make it easier to hire human beings instead of AI agents. We also need to create an annual data dividend so every American gets a check from the data they generate for both the private sector and our government activities like public health, traffic management, and policy research. But it should be coupled with a data bill of rights so you don't have companies like Palantir taking our data and giving it to ICE to be harassing and detaining immigrants and citizens. Fourth, we must launch a future workforce administration. Look, we should seize this moment of anxiety among white-collar and blue-collar families and answer it with the boldest, most patriotic jobs agenda we've seen in generations, funded by a modest wealth tax on trillions created here. I hear I'm being protested outside because I've said that billionaires need to be taxed more. The self-awareness of some of these billionaires, they did this billionaire march against these taxes. I said, At least have economists or something make your case. Anyway, funded by a modest wealth tax and trillions created here, and by a token tax on AI used by businesses that could displace labor, this program can put millions of Americans to work in public service. The initiative will drive moonshot projects that expand the frontiers in science, clean energy, and biotechnology. It will hire and mobilize young people to rebuild towns, teach our children, provide childcare and elder care, counseling for mental health, and strengthen small business in every community. And we will launch 1,000 new trade schools and tech institutes so the next generation are prepared for careers that AI cannot replace. Fifth, data centers must serve the communities who power them. Right now, data centers are one-way extraction centers from communities to the wealthiest corporations. And we saw one of them actually get stopped in New Jersey just a couple nights ago. Tech companies need to provide local companies with compute resources for schools and libraries, create local jobs and fund startups, and use renewable energy and dry cooling technology. We should look to what Singapore has done. My friend John Nichols, who's with us, says Finland, what they've done, in terms of a solution that actually holds these tech companies accountable for having clean energy and a massive supply of clean energy. Most importantly, tech companies must pay the full electricity bill instead of shifting costs onto the communities where they're building the data centers. Two more principles, and then I'll wrap up. Sixth, we must prevent AI from weaponizing our public discourse. We can unite across party lines to stop engagement-driven algorithms from spreading hate, end Section 230 protection from amplified violent content, and require platforms to open up so Americans can connect freely across these platforms. Finally, seventh, we must regulate AI so it's used to improve humanity and not damage it. We need clear, enforceable guardrails and mandatory third-party verification of advanced AI models so this powerful technology does not cause serious societal harm. It can't just be voluntary, which is what it is right now at the Center for AI Standards and Innovation at NIST, at Commerce. They literally ask these tech companies, do you agree? That's not how we do regulation. Regulation is what the democratic will is. We need a robust federal agency to regulate AI like we regulate nuclear energy or federal aviation. I actually had a Stanford professor who was saying once, the student was complaining about regulations. He said, well, the one time I'm glad about regulation is when I go on an airplane. You know, regulations make us safer. There's so many of them that we take for granted. These principles are the beginning of a framework to ensure that AI does not usher in a level of wealth and power concentration that further rips our democracy apart. If we continue with the status quo or adopt poll-tested incrementalism, we will leave ordinary Americans out in the cold, and modern prosperity will only be for the privileged, only in districts like mine. I will not sit by and watch that happen. We need a program with the boldness and scale of the New Deal, a democratic project for our time, not to slow innovation, but to ensure its benefits reach every American. A program that by its very substance says there will be no surrender to the tech lords, none. Only a reclaiming of AI for the American people. And so, particularly to the Stanford students, to emerging technology and business leaders, my challenge is simple. The future must not be written by AI agents that serve San Francisco billionaires. Like at any other pivotal moment in American history, it must be written by all of us, together, in a way that binds our divides and gives us a new national purpose of economic renewal and independence for every American in every place of our nation. Thank you, and now look forward to answering some questions.